Hi, I welcome you all to .NET Training Channel. In this session is all about ASP.NET Web API interview questions. In this video, I have collected most frequently asked interview questions. In case of any queries, please do share it in the comment section. So I'll try to answer those questions. So in this video, I'm going to cover most of the advanced interview questions. Let's go ahead and start with the session. Okay, what is Web API? Web API is a framework which helps you to build or develop HTTP services. Web APIs is the Microsoft open source technology to develop REST services, which is based on the HTTP protocol. ASP.NET Web API framework to build, consume HTTP based service. Web API can be consumed by wide range of clients such as web browser and mobile applications. Let's go to the next question. Why is the Web API important? Web API is generally considered as service that basically provides us the information or data from the server. It is very important because of the following reasons. It is used to provide an interface for websites and client applications to have access to data. It can also be used to access data from database and save data back to the database. It supports different text formats such as XML, JSON, etc. It is suitable or compatible with any type of browser and any type of device like mobile, desktop, web, etc. It uses low bandwidth such as XML or JSON data and is therefore considered good for devices that have limited bandwidth such as smartphones, etc. From business point of view, Web API is more applicable for UI or UX, increase interest in the company's product and services, increases website traffic. Let's go to the next question. So why is Web API is required? Is it possible to use RESTful services using WCF? Yes, we can still develop RESTful services with WCF. However, there are two main reasons that promote users to use Web API instead of RESTful services. Web API increases test-driven data approach in the development of RESTful services. If you want to develop RESTful services in WCF, you surely need to look to a lot of configuration settings, UI templates, and contracts, endpoints, and developing RESTful services using Web API. Let me move on to the next question. Okay, what Web API versus WCF REST API? WCF REST API is good for message queue, duplex communication, one-way messaging. Web API is good for HTTP-based service. Web API is the best fit with the MEC pattern, which is the major benefit of the Web API. WCF will support SOAP and XML format, while Web API can support any media format, including JSON and XML. WCF is good for developing services-oriented application, and ASP.NET Web API is perfect for building HTTP services. WCF can support HTTP, TCP, named pipes as protocol. On another side of Web API can support HTTP protocol only. Web API is easy for experienced developers in MEC pattern, so WCF requires a lot of configuration to run, while Web API is simple and no configuration is required to run. WCF. It is a framework used to build or develop a service-oriented application. WCF will only be consumed by clients, which will understand XML. WCF can support protocols such as HTTP, TCP, named pipes, etc. In terms of Web API, it's a framework that will help us for building or developing HTTP services. Web API is an open source platform. It will support most of the MEC features that will keep Web API or WCF. Let me move to the next question. Advantages of using ASP.NET Web API. Using ASP.NET Web API has the following advantages. It will overcast HTTP verbs, standards, HTTP verbs like get, post, put, delete, etc. for all CRUD operations. Complete support for routing. Response will be generated in JSON or XML format using media type formatter. It has the ability to be hosted in IIS and self-host outside of IIS. Supports model binding and validation. Support for OData. Next question is, what are all the various return types in ASP.NET API? So following are the various return types in ASP.NET API. HTTP response message, HTTP action result, void, other type is string, int, or other entity types. Next question is, what is the difference between REST API and RESTful API? So REST, representation state transfer API. It is basically an architectural style that makes productive use of existing technology and protocols of the web. It is a set of rules that developers need to follow when they develop their API or services that are scalable. It is used with HTTP protocol using its verbs such as get, delete, post, and put. RESTful API. It is simply referred to as web services executed such as architecture. REST API versus RESTful API. REST is an architectural pattern used for creating web services. RESTful API is used to implement that pattern. The data format of REST is based on HTTP. The data format of RESTful is based on JSON, HTTP, and text. The third one is working of URL based on the request and the response. Working of RESTful is based on the REST applications. Fourth one is it is most user friendly and highly adaptable to all business enterprises and IT, and it's too flexible. It is required to develop APIs that allow interaction among clients and services. It simply follows REST infrastructure that provides interoperability among the different systems on the whole network when it comes to RESTful APIs. Next question is, what are all advantages of using REST in Web API? REST is very important and beneficial in Web API because of the following reasons. It allows less data transfer between the client and server. It is easy to use and lightweight. It provides more flexibility. It also handles and controls various types of calls, returning various data formats. It is considered best for using in mobile application because it makes less data transfer between the client and the server. It uses simple HTTP calls for inter-machine communication rather than using more complex options like Corba, COM, SOAP, or RPC. Next question is, what is REST and SOAP? What is the difference between them? So REST is a new and improved form of web service. It describes the architecture style and of the network system. It does not require greater bandwidth when requests are sent to server. It just includes JSON message. You can see that for an example. It's a JSON example, what you can see over here. It's a city, Mumbai, and state is Maharashtra. So simple object access protocol. It's a simple and lightweight protocol that is generally used for exchanging structural and typed information on the web. It works mostly with HTTP and RPC, remote procedure call. This protocol is mainly used for B2B applications. One can define a data contract with it. A SOAP message are heavier in content and therefore use greater bandwidth. For an example, you can just look at the example over here. XML version and SOAP environment, the body, and you have body there, and you can have say the envelope. Inside the envelope you have put everything. The example for SOAP. So REST and SOAP. So it is basically an architecture pattern. SOAP is basically a messaging protocol. The second one is REST. It usually uses, it works with various text formats such as text, HTML, JSON, XML, etc. It only works with XML format when it comes to SOAP. REST is totally stateless, and so it has some specification for the both stateless and stateful implementation. REST, it performs faster as compared to SOAP. It performs slower as compared to REST. And REST, it uses XML or the JSON data to send and receive data. SOAP, it uses WSDL, Web Service Description Language, for communication among consumers or users and providers. REST has to resend transfer whenever it determines an error. SOAP includes built-in error handling for communication errors using WS reliable messaging specification. REST, it calls services using the URL path, and SOAP, it calls the services by calling RPC, remote procedure call methods. The next question is, how do you construct HTML response message? So what are the HTTP status codes? HTTP status code is 3-digit integer in which the first digit of the status code defines the class of response. Response header of each API response contains the HTTP status code. HTTP status code are grouped into 5 categories, and you could see the 5 categories over here. So anything starts with 1, it's an informational. Anything status code starts with 2, it's a success. Anything starts with 3, redirectional. So anything starts with a 4 is a client side error. So anything starts with a 5, server side error. So usually it will be like 100, 101, 200, 201, 300, 301, 400, 500. Yep. These are all HTTP status codes. Some of the commonly seen HTTP status codes are 200, it says request is okay. 201, it's created. 202, it's accepted. 204, no content. And 301, moved permanently. 400 is a bad request. 401 is unauthorized. 403 is a forbidden. 404 is a not found. And 500 is a internal server error. And 502 is a bad gateway. 503 is service unavailable, etc. What is parameter binding in ASP.NET Web API? When a API calls a method on a controller, it must set the values for the parameters in this particular process known as parameter binding. By default, Web API uses the below rules in order to bind the parameters from URI. If the parameter is simple type, then Web API tries to get the values from the URI. Then simple types of includes .NET primitive like int, double, etc. Data time span, GUID, string, any type which can be converted from string to type from body. So if the parameter type is complex, then we can go for a from body. Then Web API will try to find the value from the messaging body. Next question is, so what is ASP.NET Web API routing? Routing in ASP.NET Web API is the process that will decide which action and which controller should be called. There are following ways to implement routing in Web API. So convention based routing and attribute based routing. So what are all media types formatter in Web API? Following are the media type formatter in Web API. So first one is media type formatter, base class for handling serialization and deserializing strongly typed object. And preferred media transfer type formatter represent a helper class of allowing asynchronous formatter on top of the asynchronous format infrastructure. The next question is CORS issue in Web API. CORS will stand for cross origin resource sharing. CORS will resolve the same origin restriction for JavaScript. The same origin means the JavaScript only make Ajax call for the web pages within the same origin. We must install CORS NuGet package using package manager console to enable CORS in a web API. So web1 web API config.cs file, and you have to add out.config.enable CORS and add enable CORS attribute to the controller class and define the origin. And enable CORS origin, you have to define headers and methods. How to secure an ASP.NET Web API. Web API security means we require to control Web API and decide who can access the API and who will not access the Web API. Web API will be accessed by anyone who will know the URL. This is not a good practice in the context of the security. HTTP GET and HTTP POST. GET and POST is two important HTTP. HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol can manage the request response between the client and server. Get parameters is included in URL. Post parameters included in the body. Get request will not make any changes to server. Post is making changes to server. Get request is idempotent and post request is not idempotent. In get request, we will send data in plain text. In post request, we will send binary as well as text data. Exception filters in ASP.NET Web API. Exception filters in Web API will implement IException filters interface. Web API exception filters can execute when an action will throw an exception at any stage. To return view from ASP.NET Web API? No, we don't return any views from ASP.NET Web API. It will not be possible in case of API. We will create HTTP-based services, and it is only available in MVC application. The next question is, what is new in ASP.NET Web API 2.0? Attribute routing, external authentication, CORS, cross-origin resource sharing, OWIN, Open Web Interface for .NET, self-hosting, ISTQB action result. The sixth one is Web API OData. And following new features are included in Web API 2. So attribute-based routing, you could see that we just have this on a register route attribute at the action method level. At the method get, so what you're doing is you have a route, so we just have configured product with the product ID and category. So CORS, cross origin resource sharing support, and move into self-host Web API OData. These are the new features which is included in API 2. And how do we restrict access to methods with an HTTP word in Web API? So this is the way we can just use it. We'll just add an attribute as shown below. You can just see HTTP get, HTTP post. So by using these HTTP verbs, we can just restrict access to method. How do we make sure that Web API returns data in JSON format only? To make sure that Web API returns data in JSON format, This opens webp config.cs file, and you just have to go ahead and add a piece of code, that is config.formatters.json formatter dot supported media types dot add new media type header value, and just have to specify application slash JSON. This will make sure that Web API returns data in JSON format only. The next question is how to provide alias name for action method in Web API. We can provide alias name by adding an attribute action name, and it looks as below: action name and insert user data, and you can see it is just mentioned above the post. How we can handle errors in Web API. Following classes will help you to handle exception in ASP.NET Web API, exception filters, HTTP errors, and HTTP response exceptions. Next question is how to host Web API. Web API application will be hosted in two ways: self-hosting. Web API will be hosted in console application or Windows services. IaaS hosting. Web API will also be hosted in IaaS, and the process can be similar to the hosting a website. How to consume API using HTTP client. HTTP client will be introduced in HTTP client class for communicating with the ASP.NET API. This HTTP client class will be used in a console application or in a MSC application. The next question is how to enable HTTP verbs in Web API. HTTP Web API will run over HTTP protocol. Assume we require to serve Web API to be accessible only over secure HTTP example for HTTPS and not over HTTP. We must use filters to implement this. Create a class that inheres which class with the authorization filter attribute, and then check if it requests URL has HTTP or not. And the next question is what is token-based authentication in Web API? A better approach for securing .NET Web API by authenticating user by signed token, which is called as token-based approach. Token-based authentication, a client will send a request to the server with the credentials. If the provided credentials valid, then server will send a token to the client. This token will contain user details for the identification with an expiry time. Once the client is will receive the token, it will just use the token to access API resources whenever the authentication requests. To implement token-based authentication, we need to install Microsoft.ov from NuGet packages. Next question is what is content negotiation in .NET Web API? In ASP.NET Web API, content negotiation will be performed at the server side. This is for determining the media type formatter for returning the response to an incoming request. So what are the differences between ASP.NET MVC and ASP.NET Web API? So following are some of the differences between MVC and Web API. In MVC, used to creating a web in which we'll build web pages. For JSON, it can return JSON result from an action method. All requests will be mapped to a respective action methods. In Web API, this is used for creating services using HTTP verbs. This will be return XML or JSON to client. All requests will be mapped to an action using HTTP verbs. And there are some of the following differences between ASP.NET MVC and Web API. MVC can be used for creating web application, which will handle both views and data. But ASP.NET API will be used for creating RESTful HTTP services with an easy and simple way, which will return only data, not view. Web API will help for building RESTful services over the .NET framework, and it will also support content negotiation that is not in MVC. Web API will also take care of returning data in a particular format such as JSON, XML, or any other based upon the accept header in the request. MVC return data in JSON format using JSON result. In Web API, the request will be mapped to the action based on the HTTP verbs, but in MVC, it will be mapped to the action name. We'll mix Web API and MVC controllers in a single project for handling advanced AJAX requests, which will return data in JSON, XML, or any other format, building a new blown HTTP services. Typically, this can be called Web API self-hosting. Web API is a lightweight architecture and will accept the web application. It will also be used with the smart apps. Then the next question is how to return only JSON from ASP.NET Web API services is responsible of accept header value. The following line should be included in register method of webpackconfig.cs in file in apps folder. This line of code will completely remove XML formatter that will force ASP.NET Web API is always return JSON irrespective of accept header, the value in the client request. use this technique when we require our services supporting only JSON, not the XML. With this change, irrespective of the accept header value, application or XML or application JSON, the web API service will always going to return JSON config.formatters.remove config.formatters.xml formatter. The next question is how to return JSON instead of XML from ASP.NET Web API services when a request is made from the browser. We can return JSON instead of XML from ASP.NET Web API services when the request is made from the browser in the following way. When the request will be issued from the browser, the Web API service will return JSON instead of XML. When a request can be issued from a tool such as Fiddler, the accept header value will be requested. And this means that if acceptor header will set the application, the service should return the XML. If it will be set to application slash JSON, the service should be returned JSON. So there are two ways we can just go ahead and achieve this. So first approach would be in this approach, the following line should be included in register method. So it's already explained. So in app underscore start folder. So this states ASP.NET API to use a JSON formatter only, and when the request is will be coming from any user. And the problem with this approach is that the content type header of the response will be set to text or XML, which is misleading. So this is the way you can just go ahead and do that. So config.formatters.json formatter, support your media type, add new media header value, text or XML. Approach 2. So the following class should be included in the web API config.cs file, abstract folder, and the register formatter. Place the following line in register method in of web config.cs file in abstract folder. The next question is how are request map to the action methods in web API. So since web API will use HTTP verbs, so client which can consume a web API request somewhere to call the web API method. Client will use HTTP verbs to call the web API action methods. For example, a call method to a get employee, a client will use jQuery method as follows. And your jQuery code will look like this. So like we can say that we're just calling API slash employee slash one, and we're just going to just call that. And once you receive the response from that, you're just going back and binding into the any of the tools which is present on the UI. So let's say that like that UI is called as employees, and the response you're getting, we should have the data which is related to the employees. Therefore, there is no mention in the like of the method name above. Instead of get employee method, we'll be creating using the get HTTP verb. We'll definitely define the get employee method as follows. The get employee method looks like follows: HTTP get. So and it's gonna be get employee, and it's the same integer value. Yep. So as we see in the get employee method, it's decorated with HTTP get attribute. We will use the different verbs to map the different HTTP request: HTTP get, post, put, and delete. The next question is, can the HTTP request will be mapped to an action method without using HTTP attribute? There are actually two ways to map the HTTP request for action method. One of the ways is to use the attribute on the action method. There is another way is to just to name the method starting with HTTP verb. For an example, if required to define get method, we can define it as follows. So what you can see here, you can just define a get method, which is just like this. The above method automatically mapped with a get request since it can start with get. And the next question is, what is the base class of web API controllers? API controller is the base class from which all web API controller derive, providing an alias to web API action method by using the action name attribute. For an example, we can rename the get employee action method as follows. You can just take it over there and we're just saying action name, saying that we get a single employee, and we completely like change the name of the controller and name of the method, like get a single employee instead of get employee. How can you give a different name to an action method? We will provide different name to an action method by using action name attribute. And for an example, if we want to rename a method called get student to search, then we can use the action name as attribute as follows. And also you could see here, we have here also we have changed the get employee to get single employee. Yeah, we actually changed the name of the action method to another action, like action method name. So here also we have one more example, and we are using get student method, and we are changing that action method name to search. So we'll use action name attribute. This is the way. If someone asks you like how you can go ahead and set a different name for your action methods, you can just give an example like this. And the next question is, so what is message handler? Message handler can be used to receive an HTTP request and to return HTTP response dot message dot message handlers. And it will be implemented as classes derived from HTTP messages handler, and this will implement the cross-cutting concerns. What is the HTTP response message? This will prevent the response of the web API action method. It can allow to return the data along with the status code such as success or failure. In the following example, if the past roll number exists in the list of students, then the method returns the student object. Then the status code will be okay. While if the roll number doesn't exist, so it will say not found status code. And that is the what we can expect data return. So this is the piece of code. You could just go ahead and check it here. So we have HTTP response method, and here we're receiving an integer number. So we have a student list where we are populating the student number, student roll number along with the number which we have got it from the API call, and the whatever the request which we got it. If it is, I mean, if we have any data with respect to the user, it is just going to create a response, and it says HTTP status code okay, and it passes the read like object which you have supposed to pass it. And if you don't find any student with respect to this particular ID, the return value will be, it will create a error response message with the status code not found, and along with the message student not found. And where is the route is defined in a API. So route can be defined in a API config.cs file. So that will be pasted in the app underscore start directory. You can see web.api config.cs file, and you could see this piece of code routes.map.svp attribute, and you can just see a route template API slash controller slash ID. The next question is why API slashes segment is used in API routing. So it will be used for avoiding collisions with the ASP.NET MVC routing. And the next question is how parameter gets the value in your API. So the following way parameters get the values. One is from URI, second one is from request body, and third one is from custom bounding. And how to enable attribute routing. For enabling attribute routing, call map HTTP attribute routes method in WebAPI config file. So what you have to do in WebAPI config file in the register method, you just have to go ahead and just add this piece of line config.map HTTP attribute routes. And the next question is, can we apply constraint at the route level? Yes, we will apply. So you could see the route, and at the route what you're doing. So we just having the students, and what you're doing here. So we're just making sure that we always receive integer with respect to this action method. Okay, and the next step you can see it like we always receive a name, and that should be in a like this, like what we can expect, it should be always in the form of string. The first route can be only selected whether the ID segment of the URI is an integer. So otherwise the second route can be chosen, because if you pass anything other than the integer, so the second one will be the chosen one. Let's go to the next question. How to mention roles and users using authorized attribute in web API. You could see here, you can always restrict to the controllers by using authorize, and you could see that, okay, you could see that we are restricting user Shiva Jai, and also we are restricting the roles by using by using roles. You could see that inside the authorize, we're just mentioning the roles, and we are just like providing administrator over there. So always you could do the restriction by the name and by the role. Let's go to the next question. So what is non-action attribute class in Web API? If required to restrict a particular action method accessing from browser, will non-action attribute. Let's see a public action result as a non-action method, what like attribute what you have mentioned there. And so above method will not get accessing from the browser, right? So if you don't want any method to get access from the browser, you can just make it the head and go make the particular action method as non-action methods. The next question is, can we do unit test in Web API? Yes, we can do that. Web API will be unit test by using Fiddler tool. So following the settings to be updated in Fiddler, you can just go to the Compose tab, enter the request header, enter the request body and execute it. This is going to give you our data. So the next question is, how can we register exception filter from the action? So we can register exception filter from action by using the below code. You could see here, not implemented exception filter. That is one filter which I just registered over here. This is the way just going to register at the action method. So how to register exception filter globally? So it is possible to register exception filter globally using following code: global configuration.configuration.filters and .add, and inside the new my test custom store and .not IMPL exception filter attribute. This is the way you just go ahead and always register your exception things. So the next question is, how can you pass multiple complex types in your API? So there are two methods to pass the complex types in your API. So one thing is you can use array list. Another one is a Newton's of array. So this is a piece of code. I mean, usually like into my ask you after this question. So write a code for passing array list in your API. You can just, what you can do, you can just go ahead and create array list. Say that the name is parameter list, and the category, it's an object which you're creating. So that the category is a class, and we're just populating and a single entry there, category ID, category name. And we do have one more say that like class name product, and you're populating product code and name and price along with the category ID. So what you're going to do, you're just going to add parameter list dot add, and you're just going to add that category class here. And along with that, the next in the parameter list, you're just going to add another class type as well, that is product. So this is the way you can pass the passing array list in the Web API. Okay, so like the next question would be, tell me the code snippet to show how we can return 404 errors from HTTP error, and code for returning 404 error from the HTTP error, like it looks like below. String message is equal to string dot format, and test customer ID and not found customer ID. So what you have to do, and when you say return, so return request dot create error response HTTP core status code not found, and then along with that, you're supposed to just pass out the message. So here what you're doing, just passing the test customer ID and saying that okay, this customer ID is not present, and along with the status code not found. The next question is, so before going to the next question, so it's gonna be like we have a series of questions over here. So Web API supports which protocol? Web app support HTTP protocol. So which of the following .NET framework supports Web API? API is supported by .NET 4.0 version. Web API uses which library for JSON serialization? So Web API uses JSON.NET library for JSON serialization. By default, Web API sends HTTP response with which of the following status code for all uncaught exceptions. It is used 500 internal servers. And the next question is, explain method to handle using HTTP error in Web API. In Web API, HTTP error used to throw error information in the response body. Create error response method it also can be used to along with this, which is an extension method defined in the HTTP request message extension. Let's go to the next question. So how can we make sure that Web API returns JSON data only? So it is already the well-known answer for this. So what you have to do, just have to go to your config file and just have to go to your add register method, and just have to specify the which type of data you want to get it. And you can just do like that. You can specify media header value application slash. So this is going to give your data in JSON format always. And the next question is explain media type formatter. So in Web API, media type formatters are classes that are responsible for serialization data. Here, serialization generally means the processing of translating data in data format that can be transmitted and reconstructed later. So because of serialization, request or response data, Web API can understand request data format in a better way and send data in format that which client expects. Simply specify the data that is being transferred among the clients and server in HTTP response or request. Media type formatter class, MIME type and description. Media type formatter class, JSON media type formatter. MIME type is applications slash JSON or text or JSON. Handles JSON format. If XML media type formatter, it's a media type formatter class, and MIME type for that is application slash MS XML text slash JSON, and it handles XML formatter. Like the next one is form URL encoded media type formatter, and MIME type for that is application slash X, and you can see WW form and URL encoded, and it handles HTML from URL encoded data. And the next media type formatter class is jQuery MEC form URL encoded formatter, and the MIME type for that is application slash WW form URL encoded, and the description for that is handles model bound HTML form URL encoded data. And the next question is what all Web API filters? Filters are basically used to add extra logic at the different levels of Web API framework requesting processing. Different types of Web API filters are available as given below. First one is authentication filter. It handles authentication and authorization HTTP request. And what happens? It authenticates the HTTP request which you're getting it. It also helps authenticate user detail and checks the identifier of the user. Okay, so authentication is it's like very simple. I mean, the person who's better example for that, like if you're working in a company and you will be having access to the like maybe some of the floors of the building, and you're not authorized to enter some parts of the building, but you are allowed to enter into the company. So that like that means you have authenticated to enter to the company, and you're not authorized to enter some of the like some of the development centers or the server rooms or something like that. So yeah, as I said, authorization filter, it handles authorization. It runs before the controller action. This filter is used to check whether or not user is authenticated or not. If the user is not authenticated, then the returns HTTP status goes 401 without invoking the action. Okay, action authorized attribute is a built-in authorization filter provided by Web API. So the next filter what we have here is action filter, and it is attributing that only can apply to control action or enter a controller. It is used to add extra logic before or after execution of controller, and it is simply a way to add extra functionality to Web API services. And the next one is exception filter. It is used to handle exception that are handled in Web API. It is used whether there are control actions through unhandled exception that is not HTTP response exception. It will implement an IException filters interface. So override filter, it is used to exclude specific action methods or controls from global filter or control level filter. It's simply used to modify the behavior of the other filters for individual action methods. So you could see here the ASP.NET Web API filter pipeline. You could see here, and HTTP request message is passed to the authentication filter, and the authentication gets successful. It will move on to the authorization filter. Once the authorization filter successfully done, it will move on to the action filter, and yeah, the action filter is done, so it will just go and pass to the action method and convert it back and convert it like if there is any exception which is happening, so it's going to be exception filter, and you can expect HTTP response messages. So this is the ASP.NET API filter pipeline. The next question is what do you mean by caching and what are its types? Caching is basically a technique or process of storing data somewhere or in the cache for future requests. The cache is temporary storage area. Caching keeps all the frequently or recently accessed files or or data in cache memory and accesses them from the cache itself rather than actual address of data or files. The cache interface simply improves the storage mechanism for request or response objects pairs that are being checked, being cached. So advantages of using caching. So it is used the best solution to ensure that data is served where it is needed to be served at too high level of efficiency, which is best for both client and server. It delivers web objects faster to the end users and it reduces load time on website servers and leads to faster execution of any process and it decreases network cost. And types of caching. So there are basically three types of caching as we know. So one is a page caching, and the next one is data caching. Third one is fragment caching. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you for like watching this video. So hope you guys like got most of the questions which is required to crack ASP.NET Web API. And in case of any queries or any questions you guys come across, please do put it in comment section of the video so that like we'll try to answer like most of your questions. And thanks for watching. So keep in touch. Bye bye. Have all the best for your interviews, guys. Bye. Thank you so much.